Holy moly, Malcolm, we made it to another Monday. Wow. Happy Monday, year of our Lord 2025, June 23rd. As we do each and every Monday, we come to you. He looks windy because he just ran across the room. Look at him. He's trying to hold his breath in. I love this. Oh my God, I love it. Look at you. He's like, whoa, what's next? No, each and every do, as we do each and every Monday, we've actually slid later in the afternoon. We started off at noon. So we noticed that you guys like to leisurely walk in. So we started now at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We bring you news and topics, anything important that happened over the weekend. And
Yeah.
our show is on Saturdays at 1. So, and then we do nerd stuff on Sundays here on the network. So, and it has to be mighty important if Devon's going to stop his nerd stuff. So, I popped in yesterday. We'll talk about
Oh
that.
yeah. Oh, okay.
I popped in.
Yeah. So, like, one of the things I would love to get are any input from our audience on today. So, I one of the things I do on Monday is sort of like a lightning round of the news to keep us up to date on what's going on. I have actually kind of disengaged from news, except for sometimes it breaks through on social media, and so that was one of those things that happened this weekend, were memes of Kamala Harris doing like blinking and just staring at the camera. Some of her just black mama looks. Just like
I must have missed that too.
it was hilarious. Just like no caption, no nothing, just Kamala staring.
Oh, I have to check.
Yeah.
I missed that too.
But the other thing was just like there was a point in that debate where Kamala eviscerated Trump, where she said like if he gets elected, we're going to be at war within 6 months. So she got that shit right on time.
Oh God, she's clairvoyant to the day. She got it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm scared now.
Pretty
Dear
much.
Kamala, what is next to come?
I know, right? I mean, she pretty much nailed it on a lot of things.
Wow,
It wasn't like it took a crystal ball to figure it out. It was just like, I'm looking at him. This is what he does. He appeases people. And so the reason we ended up where we are is because Netanyahu played him like a fiddle. That's exactly what she was saying, is that, he gets easily flattered, So, I mean, we didn't know last week, Israel launched strikes into Iran and kind of pretended that Trump was involved in the planning of those strikes. Most experts feel that that's not true, that Israel planned the strikes, did it all themselves. They learned about it maybe, within a few hours of them occurring, just, as a courtesy. But then, after the fallout, Trump sort of said, like, we're all involved in it and that we would be aiding in those strikes. And so one of the things he said was that they were holding off on strikes for up to 2 weeks to see if there were any talks with Iran that were ongoing. Those 2 weeks turned into about 3 days.
Was it even days?
Yeah, it was Thursday that he said that, and Saturday they made the drops. So it wasn't even a full 3 days, but yeah, it was pretty fast. That 2 weeks went by real fast. Anyway, let me see if I can play it. Yeah, let me see. Which one is that?
The other black man.
Charles.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. All because they didn't want to vote for the black lady. All because they did not want to vote for the black lady. All because they did not want to vote for the black lady.
That's it. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say for the rest of the hour.
All right, let's see what we got in the news. I'm gonna see if this plays.
Americans learned via social media, in this case, Truth Social, that the United States had bombed 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. President Donald Trump posted, quote, "Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace." He also spoke in a televised address later that evening.
Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success.
The massive strikes, dubbed Operation Midnight Hammer, included the use of 7 B-2 bombers carrying massive ordnance penetrators, so-called bunker buster bombs, capable of reaching underground targets, like Iran's uranium enrichment facilities. The strikes came after Trump's announcement Thursday that he would take 2 weeks, that demarcation of time that means nothing to Trump, to decide whether to strike Iran. Israeli officials have been pushing for American involvement after launching their own attack on Iran on June 12th, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was pretty pumped.
Congratulations, President Trump. Your bold decision to target Iran's nuclear facilities with the awesome and righteous might of the United States will change history.
But the crowd at a rally with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders in Tulsa, Oklahoma Saturday seemed to mirror how I'm feeling right now, and maybe you too, when they heard the news from Senator Sanders.
This is a statement from Donald Trump, quote, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran," etc.
That reaction could be why multiple members of the Trump administration spent Sunday explaining that we are not actually at war with Iran, despite doing something which many people think is an act of war. Here's Vice President J.D. Vance speaking with NBC's Kristen Welker on Meet the Press.
Is the United States now at war with Iran?
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program.
Sure. And he added, quote, "I empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then, we had dumb presidents." Vance denied the U.S. was looking for a regime change in Iran, a claim echoed by other cabinet members in the wake of the strikes. But our very smart president apparently didn't get the memo. He posted on Truth Social late Sunday, quote, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime isn't able to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? MEGA." I leave that for you to contemplate. So, now what? After Trump claimed that Iran's capacity to develop nuclear weapons had been eliminated, Israeli and U.S. intelligence officials scaled back those statements. And then there's the fact that Democratic members of Congress say they learned about the strikes the same way I did, from scrolling Twitter.
Yep. So
Where do you start with bullshit? I mean, like, really, dude, where do you start shoveling? It's just, where do you start shoveling? Shout out to her. Thank you for always, sister, delivering the news.
yeah, she's got a good
Way on
grasp for the news, and I like the fact that she gets to the point pretty quickly and makes some snarky comments here and there. But yeah, Colin. Luckily, we have a very smart president. Like, let's go with that.
Well, the lovely part about this, America, is his base is pissed. Like, I trolled on that site he does. I don't want y'all to be trying to find my alias. But I am on Truth Social.
Yeah.
And I made a comment. So I said, what are we going to do now? He did the very thing that we asked him not to do. And I got 28,000 responses. I'm being hyperbolic with that, but it was about 2.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I don't know. This is really fucked. I said, you know who said this would happen? Kamala would happen. And they all, she the warmonger? No. Well, obviously she's not, because we're currently at war. And I was like, a show of hands, who is unemployed right now? On my factory, because the other thing you hear is my factory shut down. My job. Yeah. We don't have enough immigrants to clean the toilet. My restaurant is dirty. I'm not showing up to work. You know what I mean? What the fuck do you want, Pablo, then?
On top of that, like, people within the immigrant community are afraid of being rounded up, so they're staying home.
And then so I read stories about, Michael, you always scare me to pieces. So Malcolm mentioned on my era on Saturday, the Saturday sit down with me at 1 o'clock p.m. on Saturdays. He said that they are rounding up people, not only Home Depots and their jobs, but in medical facilities. So people are afraid to go to the doctor.
Or especially like even grocery stores that cater to Mexican communities, right? Like, where, like, there's certain items that you can only get because they're not popular within America. So there'll be like markets specifically catering to immigrant communities. Those are basically going out of business because their customer base is afraid to show up there, you know?
Right.
So they might now shop at Walmart or something, but that's like, you know, economic decline, right? People are not shopping as much.
I'm trying to figure out. So like now, you know, the Democratic Party is so lucky. They're just lucky because they don't have a clue how to dig out of this. But he just dug out of this for them. You know what I mean? Like because I think I gave my last $20 to Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah.
And I said no more. But luckily, Democrats, he has handed you a beautiful gift to make sure you will get the House and the Senate back. Because this will not be the end of this in the time enough for midterms because they're going to bring it back up. Even if peace goes, and it will not, because I saw clips from President Clinton. This was always Netanyahu's goal.
Right.
He always was after Iran. But
and you realize, like, after making these strikes, the president actually has to go to Congress to ask for authorization within 30 days. Yes. So there is going to be a vote coming. You know, that vote is going to be really unpopular in the midterms when you vote to give President Trump authorization for military action.
AKA poopy pants.
Yeah, because they're going to have to do that. I mean, that is like you thought you were going to lose the House. You're going to lose the House bad because pretty much every Republican is going to vote for it. Yeah. It's pretty bad.
He just fucking set them up. I love this. And so, like, you want to talk about something that's not in anybody's. I mean, we are a country that can't agree on what time of day it is, and the clock says it's goddamn 3:15. We are a country that can't agree that this shirt I have on is black and your shirt is red. Somebody gonna be like, "Oh, it's off gray and it's maroon." You know what I mean? The fact is, but this is one thing,
and this is why having such a dishonest, party and president is so dangerous, because we can't, even when people are being honest, we can't agree on things.
We cannot agree on things.
Yeah, and so like if someone is intentionally misleading and lying through their teeth and can't be trusted.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw it though. And I don't know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if he's gonna bounce back from this one as he did the other ones, because this was a major, and I don't even know why he fell for this. This is a major tenant. They kept yelling, "Oh, she's a warmonger," and the Democrats. Now what do you do? When he is the warmonger? And I never thought in all my days I would agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene pants. Never in all my days.
Oh God! Yes,
I put out a video, and I was gonna pull it, but I don't give them people
right.
Because I'm just not gonna make her.
All right, let's do a few more news stories. Let's see what we got, because I got a lot.
The United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit is now in session.
We have one case on the argument calendar today, Governor Gavin Newsom et al. Versus President Donald J. Trump et al.
For now, the Trump administration has the legal power to deploy the National Guard in Los Angeles. That's after a federal appeals court late Thursday agreed with Trump that he could use troops to protect federal agents while they deport undocumented residents around LA, and that he can do so despite the objection of California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom. The three-judge panel ruled unanimously. They said the president could use those troops because he was sufficiently impeded from executing the laws of the United States with, quote, regular forces. President Trump called the latest ruling a capital G great, capital D decision for our capital C country in a post on, you guessed it, Truth Social. On Friday, Newsom pledged to continue his legal fight against the Trump administration.
The U.S. government is funding this genocide, and Columbia University is investing in this genocide. This is what I was protesting. This is what I will continue to protest with every one of you. Not only if they threaten me with detention, even if they would kill me, I would still speak up for Palestine.
On Friday, Columbia University international grad student Mahmoud Halil was released from federal immigration custody. He addressed reporters at Newark Airport, where he condemned the Trump administration's efforts to silence pro-Palestinian voices and dehumanize immigrants. Halil had been held in central Louisiana since March. The Trump administration had claimed his protests against Israel's war in Gaza threatened U.S. foreign policy. Halil was released on bail after a U.S. District Judge, Michael Farbiars, ruled that the U.S. government did not have sufficient grounds to keep him detained. Less than 10 minutes after Halil's release, the Trump administration filed a notice of appeal. Halil was the first of a number of foreign students to be caught up in Trump's crackdown on campus protesters.
Yeah, that was one of those that's really weird that because he was one of the first. He was in detention for 3 months before he was released, and that's a pretty big impact on anyone's life. I can't even think of like a week of detention. That's something that isn't like impactful on you, but they're starting to be released. They tried these novel things of like revoking people's citizenship and deporting people, hoping that people wouldn't fight back, and they're fighting back, and that's good.
Again, because you know my whole stance on this. Listen, again. Oh, her stance on Gaza. Oh, I don't care if he detains your mama. It does not matter to me. And that's how I feel. I don't even run stories like this because you should have got your little people in line to go vote for the black woman. So because you got to go to jail because he is doing whatever the fuck he wants to do, fuck y'all. I don't care.
Yeah.
So Malcolm, please tell the story.
Yeah, we'll keep going. But my thing is that I think it affects everyone, right? So the idea that an American, someone who's living in the United States, even though he's not a citizen, can be detained without any due process. Just if people were allowing that to happen, when they decide to turn their ire towards, I don't know, a Black Lives Matter protester and say that your citizenship is revoked or your due process rights are revoked. Luckily, the courts are upholding it, so we'll just say that. But I'm just saying they will try it. That's all I'm saying, and they're trying to intimidate people.
But we knew this.
Yeah, we did. I'm just saying.
November. We knew this in November, bro. And
we knew this, but they didn't, and they still don't. The lines are drawn, and they're still drawn. But it's just whatever. It's a confirmation of what we know.
And I appreciate you bringing it. But again, people, because I get in my inbox, oh, you're so somebody called me callous yesterday. You don't care about Americans and you don't care. Well, yeah, I did. I cared about it at the time it was time to care about it. But because
this is true,
bro. Like, do you know how many late?
But you're kind of confirming what they said because you cared in the past tense.
Yeah, I cared when it was time to care. I cared when it was time to knock on the door.
You're right. It's one of the few times I'm super. I mean, like I say, few times. This is one of the times I am most proud to be Black is when you look at the percentages of people who voted for Kamala.
Yeah,
like I am so glad I'm not a part of
set up in the 92 percentile of the people Black.
It doesn't matter how you group me. My group voted for Kamala.
Yeah, don't.
If you group me by income, if you group me by education, my age, by race,
person,
I voted for Kamala. Yes.
Right,
we voted for Kamala. Okay.
I told this person that was in our inbox, if you want some care and some compassion, you better talk to Malcolm. I will message directly because you will not get care and compassion. Yeah. I'm out here watching Noah's Ark, so I'm waiting for Ironheart.
Yeah, no, Ironheart drops tomorrow. That's good. All right, let's see what the next one is.
We'll talk about it later.
It's true.
The New York Times reported on Friday that Harvard and the Trump administration have restarted talks to end their months-long feud. Sources tell the New York Times that top Harvard officials worry the university will have to shrink its student body and lower its academic ambitions if it remains at odds with the president. And there's a lot that they're at odds over. The Trump administration froze more than $3 billion in federal grants and contracts, it threatened to revoke the university's tax-exempt status, and it investigated Harvard's diversity and admissions policies. The administration also tried to stop it from enrolling international students. Harvard President Alan Garber addressed that head-on during last month's commencement.
Members of the class of 2025 from down the street, across the country, and around the world. Around the world, just as it should be.
And speaking of that international student issue, on Friday, a federal judge temporarily blocked the administration from terminating the university's Student and Exchange Visitor Program. Texas will require all public school classrooms to display the Ten Commandments, under a new law signed by Republican Governor Greg Abbott Saturday. The Texas legislature approved the measure late last month after months of debate. It's expected to be challenged in the courts, and it may not fare too well there. The day before Abbott signed the new Texas law, a panel of 3 federal appeals court judges ruled a similar law in Louisiana was unconstitutional. A federal district court judge in the state had reached the same conclusion in a decision late last year.
So what's so funny about this, of course, is that, one of the things that Tucker Carlson kind of did a gotcha on Ted Cruz about was like little facts about the population of Iran. It's, details about it, which is, was kind of cute or funny, but honestly, I don't know who knows that. If Tucker didn't look it up, he wouldn't have known either. But I'll tell you one that's hilarious, though. When someone passes a bill that says you have to display the 10 Commandments in all public schools, and I think Stephen Colbert did this. He was like, can you name the 10 Commandments? There are only 10 Commandments. It really shot it short. Like, and you're asking for all the kids, like elementary kids, to know this shit. Do you know what they are? Which is funny because there are actually 12 commandments. Which I don't know why people call it the 10 Commandments. It's kind of weird.
I'm gonna push back. If you're a sitting senator, then we have beef with the country, and you're sitting down, your team should prep you. That's basic.
I get it.
Because hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
If I talk about a country on air, you know what I'm saying? Like if like Saturday, I'm doing a piece on what the Iranian people think about this, and they love it because they have the upper hand. But I know I'm gonna know the racial breakdown of Iran before I get on air, and I'm just a podcaster here in Atlanta. You're a sitting U.S. citizen, and there is preparation that you do for your show in case a bitch asks you a question.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
just saying there's a division of like simple questions versus complex questions, which
That is simple.
right. Those are like the population was probably super simple. Maybe some of the other ones. But I'm just saying, like, if you've been fighting for this bill for over 10 years or however long it's been,
yes,
to get children to know the 10 Commandments or to post them. But anyway, the other point is that they're also just trying to get positive, conservative judicial rulings in their favor, right? To blur the line so they can add more things. Because, the 10 Commandments being displayed is kind of a minor thing. I thought of another one that was super funny. I want to say it was in Oklahoma where they have a bill that private companies and so public schools would not pay for it, but private entities could provide Bibles for students at schools, right? And one of the things that they would do is do these sort of fundraisers to provide Bibles in, like public schools or whatever. And people would say, that most religious organizations print and disseminate Bibles for free. Like, you don't actually need to raise any money for this. Like, you do realize, like, any religious organization would provide them for free. Like this, it is almost like a grift within itself. Like that Lee Greenwood Bible that cost $60, which is literally just something someone provided for free and then put a charge of $60.
Yeah, there's the Trump Bible with the Trump Bible with the Constitution in the front.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. So I ask, as a practicing Catholic, I never thought I would be championing this because it never was an issue. Like, I didn't have to have a thought about faith in government because there should be separation between church and state. If there is a woman in a government building wearing her job, good for her. I mean, you know, or whatever the thought. If I wanted to go in the bathroom and pray, or if somebody Muslim wants to go face, is it east? I don't be disrespectful. East, I think.
Yeah, I guess it's Easter.
Yeah. So if they want to get a mat and go pray east in the vestibule, if they're away from people, not bothering anybody. So I tell people all the time, here is the problem with this. So the problem with this is you start to chip away at individual rights.
Right.
And this brisk walk towards authoritarianism becomes a jog to a run to a sprint to a dash, and then we are there. So again, I don't know, it was on my show, your show, that we learned that it took about 31 days for Germany to become a democracy to Hitler turning into an autocracy.
Yeah.
31 days in like 16 hours.
Yeah, and we were just saying, like, part of that was declaring a military operation against another country. Like, if it were to happen that we were to get into a fighting war with Iran right now, that it would definitely speed up our descent into autocracy for sure.
That's it.
Especially like you were saying, especially for those who want and believe this country to be a Christian nation.
And as the Catholic, I'm going to just say it out loud. It doesn't matter what my beliefs are. This should not be a Christian nation. We separated from the monarchy.
Oh, I think okay. I think you might have frozen for a second there.
Me?
I don't know. Since it's only the two of us, I don't know if it was me or you.
I think it was because the streaming team over here kind of.
Okay.
But
Well, let me move on to the next one. We got quite a few of these. I don't want to.
Authorities in southern Michigan say that people at a church were able to avert a mass shooting yesterday. A man driving recklessly got out of his car and then opened fire toward the church in Wayne, Michigan. He hit one person in the leg. A church goer then struck the man with his car. After that, at least 2 staff members at the church opened fire. They killed the armed man. No one else was injured in the incident. Police in Michigan say the man's motive is not clear. A federal judge in San Antonio has ruled that the state of Texas has been illegally placing people with severe disabilities in nursing homes. Texas Public Radio's Dan Katz reports the judge gave the state of Texas and the plaintiffs till August 1st to propose a fix to the violations.
U.S. District Judge Orlando Garcia found that the state of Texas for decades unnecessarily institutionalized 4,500 people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in nursing homes, denying them appropriate services that are required under federal law. Garcia called the problem severe and ongoing, dating back to a statute Congress passed in 1987 that requires screening to identify community programs instead of automatically institutionalizing people.
And while they're there, we're not getting even minimally adequate levels of services that is required by federal law.
That's Stephen Schwartz, special counsel at the Center for Public Representation. He filed a class action lawsuit 15 years ago and called the ruling a landmark decision. I'm Dan Katz in San Antonio.
The National Weather Service says the first significant heat wave is rippling over parts of the central and eastern U.S. this morning. There are heat advisories posted from eastern Texas to New England. National Weather Service meteorologist Brian Hurley says it will be 15 to 20 degrees hotter than usual.
Very unusual in June to have temperatures certainly greater than 95 or even 100 degrees or greater, 101, 102. And it's not just that, it's also the overnight lows.
Heat values will be above 100 degrees in St. Louis, northern Indiana, and even Boston today. This heat is expected to last through the weekend. It will persist in some areas well into next week.
Yay. So the first story was about a shootout at a church, which is crazy.
I thought they were black.
I don't know. This was in Michigan.
No,
So
I
it was like
thought they were
folks
black.
in Michigan.
Said they shot back. I said, I knew them niggas, but no.
Well, then, but I'm just saying, in Michigan, everybody has a gun. They had I think they had security officers at the church, but someone at the church ran over the dude, and then 2 other people shot him down.
I just knew this was a black church.
I don't know, but it sounds pretty
white
bad.
people out there. I saw.
It could have been, but you forget, like Michigan is where they, if you ever saw Bowling for Columbine, where I think it was Michael Moore had a skit in the movie. It was not a skit; it was a real thing where he goes and signs up for a bank account and gets a gun because they offer you a free gun for signing up. So how do you feel about giving someone a gun at a bank? Like, you don't feel like any of it. And it's like, no, this is Michigan. Like, you know, you get a gun for signing up for a checking account.
Like a toaster, give me a 38.
That's how comfortable Michiganders are with guns. So, yeah.
But you could not tell me. I still need to go investigate that because I
you want to know who did it or who the shooters
I
were?
know who did it. A crazy white Yahoo did it, but
yeah,
I don't know what the parishioners look like.
The next one though is a super sad one. Just talking about the Americans with Disabilities Act. I think this was actually prior to the Americans with Disabilities Act, so it was actually about
80s,
states providing adequate care for those who are profoundly disabled.
It's Texas.
It's Texas. Yeah, and they've been. I guess this lawsuit is more than 15 years old, but they've been doing it for almost 40 years.
And you know what's really sad about this? Their government is disabled.
Yeah, I know.
Greg,
that is a good point. I didn't even think about it, but yeah, but 4,500 people they've identified who were incorrectly institutionalized.
And then the other sad thing about this is, like, how many people died from lack of care? We won't get a number on that. But I remember what they did do in the state of New York is they took the former governor and they they roasted his ass because people died in nursing homes during COVID, something that we all could not control. That was they started roasting him. What's his name? His brother was on CNN. The former governor. I'm so sorry. As a New Yorker, I apologize to my people. But anyway, Cuomo. Got it.
Yeah.
We got it.
Isn't he running for the mayor of New York now, or is that
he should, because he's going? New Yorkers don't care. If he was to run, he'll win. They don't care.
I think he's leading right now for the mayor race.
And I'm saying he's going to win. If he's winning. I'm just saying right now.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the mistake that Eric, what's his name, made. Why would you go, if you know the state that you're in, or even the state that you're in hates the current president so bad, why in the fuck would you go join forces with him and then try to run for re-election? Sucks.
Right. Yeah.
Now, let me just give a quick opinion on this.
Okay.
It is really sad. It is really sad. But the other thing I want America to know is that they are steadily chipping away at the Disability Act. It's almost down to nothing. The only thing that's left is basically proper accommodations. And that's going away slowly but surely.
Because sometimes you can have rights but have no way of implementing them. So, like, one of the major ways that disabled people have their accommodations implemented is through the Department of Education. That's one of the major, differences that happen with, accommodations. Were allowing people with disabilities to stay within regular school institutions rather than going to special institutions,
Right, and that's the thing. People don't realize that. So these kids and adults someplace on the collegiate level are not, they don't have to. Friend of mine teaches at a small school in Long Island, and like a large part of her population of her kids had cerebral palsy, and they're not providing them with money to, luckily they've had fundraiser and did other things, but Malcolm, it's hot as fuck outside.
Yeah, that too. We're going through a heat wave, and it's going to last for a good portion of here through July. So it's going to actually extend through July 4th, and they're really concerned about that for some of these places when they go out to celebrate. That it's going to be, because heat is the most common form of death of a natural disaster.
I'm going to tell you again, black people are going to be all right, because what we don't do, we don't fuck around in the heat.
Yeah, except for Chicago. Chicago's under this heat warning, and Chicago has a history of severe heat.
Bro, we turn the car on, turn the AC on, wait till we get outside. We're not gonna go get in the car and burn up our legs. We're not doing it.
Yeah. Well, see, here's the problem with it though. When you have severe heat like this, sometimes you have brownouts, and it doesn't matter if you have air conditioning if your power goes out, and so they are opening up cooling centers, which is important.
Now I know you guys have issues down there, you and your mother. Y'all AC is fine.
Yeah, it is, and I actually have some portable units as well. We don't have a generator, but we do have like a battery operated cooling system. So
good.
Yeah.
They do have. So I do have. If you guys need some information, like I have information on New York, a couple of the cities where some cooling stations are during this heat wave, hit me up. I will gladly.
Yeah, let's see. I think we have a few comments. Let me see if we can.
I will gladly give you my intel. Hey, Mr. Taylor, what's going on? You can go ahead and mail me that hat, brother.
Oh yeah, that is looking good. Nice fit.
So mentioning God and the Pledge of Allegiance isn't enough. Public school kids still recite that? No, they do not. By the way, they do not still recite it as far as I know. CC2, we need to roll Hot Wheels ass right up on them. You got the power, CC. You down there with the people. You got the power. Get it. Y'all organize and get it together. Elections have, and this is
it's so crazy that this shit is actually popular with the conservatives. With the MAGA people love the cruelty, man. They really do.
They love because the cruelty is the point. So
yeah,
y'all voting is so important.
Yes, it is. And also, I would think I want to take this moment to ask our audience if there's any topic or news story that you'd like us to discuss, or I'd like to get some more input from you guys because I'm just doing a lightning round of the news today, trying to get through all of it. But let us know if there's anything.
That's Malcolm, because I run communist show over there on Saturdays.
I like to get through the news. Let's see what we got coming up.
Because it's hot as hell.
President Trump is changing long-standing norms governing the civil service. For more than a century, federal employees have enjoyed strong job protections aimed at ensuring their work is free from political interference. NPR's Andrea Hsu reports this administration sees things differently.
President Trump has long talked of dismantling what he calls the deep state. He says there are too many people in the government intent on obstructing his policies and goals. Now his administration is taking steps to convert tens of thousands of civil servants into at-will employees, those whose jobs are, quote, policy influencing. The administration says doing so will ensure that Trump can carry out the work the American people elected him to do. His critics say Trump is trying to politicize the federal workforce. They warn if civil servants can be fired based on political whim, the government will lose the expertise it needs to run the country, and the American people would suffer. Andrea Hsu, NPR News.
As a terrifying rampage was unfolding in Minnesota, and before the suspect had been caught, Republican Senator and shitposter Mike Lee from Utah ran to X to blame the left for the violence. Wrote Lee in one tweet with a photo of the suspect, "This is what happens when Marxists don't get their way." So close. New York City Mayor Andrew Cuomo is what happens when Marxists don't get their way. In reality, the suspect is a religious conservative who attended Trump rallies and whose other targets appeared to include dozens of prominent Democrats and abortion rights advocates. And since he remains in custody, I'll add this: not much of a dresser. Got him. An hour after that first tweet by a sitting U.S. Senator, Lee returned to seemingly blame or mock Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, writing over an image of the assassin, "Nightmare on Walt Street." The post prompted outrage and calls for Lee's resignation, and on Monday, Minnesota Senator Tina Smith confronted Lee directly.
I wanted him to know about the consequence of his words, and I went to him and I said, your message on social media showed the image of the man who killed my friend, potentially minutes before that happened, and your message was, this is what happens. You need to take responsibility and accountability for what you were saying and doing out there in the social media world.
Fuck him up, Tina. And Tina had support. She was playing good cop, Klobuchar cop. Because then Mike Lee had to face the final boss, which is looking Senator Amy Klobuchar in the eyes. After that second conversation, Lee deleted the post. Mike Lee was later spotted at a local church basement in D.C. attending a weekly meeting of SODAC, survivors of disappointing Amy Klobuchar.
So, let me tell you about that. Let me just tell you about that. I know. Let me speak to the people real quick. I know we're tired of hearing this. I know we feel like it's not unfair. I know it feels like the bad guys always win. But I'm tell you because I am with you. I have had it clear up beyond my hat and my afro. I have had it up to here. But listen, now is not the time. We've taken some time off. We've listened to Beyonce. She's got us all together. She told us about Jolene. We didn't put boots on the ground. You know, now, so you think about Selma, you think about Dr. King, you think about RFK, JFK, all the K's. Mark, one thing we are frozen on Instagram. So just FYI, I'm gonna come back in and see what happens. All RFK, I got it. We're back. RFK, JFK, all those people. In the 60s, we marched. We dealt with death in abundance for all our leaders. And I'm not going to say this too will pass. It will, but we don't know what's after this will pass us, but we can control it. Let's not settle into apathy with this. I have to let my attitude kind of lead me into the next steps of activism. I posted a video Saturday night, like, hey, MAGA, what are you going to do now? You hold their goddamn feet to the fire.
Yeah.
You let them motherfuckers know that you are the cause of this. And with good resolve, they are still unemployed. They are still poor. They are still poorly educated because their dear leader has done nothing for them. And that is the good news. Okay? Yeah. So, Malcolm, I just try to tell you, don't be disheartened because the bad guys are not winning. If we are living with right and just on our side, just continue to be on the right side of history and don't take some time off, self-care, heal. But we got to get back in this. We ain't got to go in the street and let them arrest us. But it is our duty to talk to our fellow people that's next to you, your cousin, the people that you know, because they thought Elon Musk would give them a check, another stimulus. There are thousands of black people that believe that.
Yeah.
That's why that 92% should have been 98%.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Like, he did make huge inroads with non-educated black voters, but it's still the vast majority, like above and beyond any other demographic group that
right. Yeah. But I'm starting to hear I've been seeing, because I've been a part of this, a lot of empathizing views. I'm sick of this. Yeah, but that's how the fascists win. That they kind of wear you down with the bullshit.
Yeah, they do.
It's like, oh, if you throw so much at the wall, and there's so much shit on the wall, you don't know what's shit and what's dirt. You don't.
Yeah, and the other story that was before that, I'm curious as to the ramifications of making the civil service more at will employment. I was actually listening to an interview. I don't remember her name. The mayor of DC was talking a little bit about the employment situation in DC. Mayor
Bowser.
Yes, Mayor Bowser, and first of all, she's a really good politician. Just from her interview, I've never really heard her. So she's really good. But also,
I suspect she's a lesbian. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can see it. But no, I think they're dealing with some serious economic backlash from these firings because large percentage of those people who were fired live in DC. And like it has this sort of economic ripple effect, and it's just going to continue to happen. I don't know. Like it's really pushing the limits of things like Medicaid and Medicare and social safety net, and not only that, their budget is determined by Congress. So
Yeah. So here's the thing. Mayor Bowser is a good politician, but you know what's going to stop her from moving? Sidebar is she has no personality. Like
yeah, you're right.
Anyway, but I digress. Yeah, DC always suffers when this happened during the Reagan years. Because I to tell you guys again, we've been right at this precipice again. Reagan had Iran-Contra. You know, it wasn't this bold and in your face. It wasn't fuck niggas because Trump said fuck niggas. I eat the hamburger.
He's real close to it,
yeah. I mean, he don't care. And the fact that people like Snoop and all the people can take Trump's money, and then I'm gonna tell you what really pissed me off. They still had the unmitigated gall to honor, and I know people that work there. I mean, I don't watch anyway. Fuck it. So, but I can't tell you. People like Nelly and people like Rick Ross who live down the street from me, formerly fat fuck. You take a truck. You take a. And I think they think it was funny. I think they thought they were going to be on the side of a strong man. But when you no longer have help to clean your house and pick the fields and all those other things. Anyway, I digress. So anyway, you got to know.
Oh yeah. Let me see. Get a few comments.
He's grown in the institution. Yes, still he does. And don't. We're not going to skip over the hat situation.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Ellie says discuss the decrease in births in the country and the economic impacts. Yeah. So that is addressed in Project 2025. And what's happening is they want white women to have babies and they're just not having them.
Yeah, this is one of the things that people said, the strange effect of the making abortion illegal is that people are less likely to have children, right? Think about it. If you don't have abortion as an option where you are, you're going to be more careful about having children in the first place. So like, it actually decreases birth rates, instead of increasing it the way they think it would. It's counterintuitive, but yeah, it changes people's behavior. So.
Also, I know Greg is still watching it, but any thoughts on Noah's Ark yet? No, I'm done.
I haven't seen him yet, but what are your thoughts?
Give me, Malcolm. Give me last 5 minutes. Let's finish what we're doing.
Okay, yeah. Let's do some more news. Yeah. Just a little bit. But.
Last week, the Trump administration abruptly directed ICE to pause immigration.
I'm just going to play through
hotels and restaurants.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have.
We got to find the person who's doing this. But of course, Trump immediately reversed himself once Stephen Miller and fucking Kristi Noem got to him, with ICE officials telling staff on Monday that agents must continue conducting raids at farms, hotels, and restaurants. This is what I would call the dating in your early 20s strategy of governing. Talk through it logically with people you trust, have the breakthrough revelation, and then make the exact wrong decision 3 days later. The president reportedly did have this about face. What happened was he had been contacted directly by Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins, who bypassed Miller and Noem to kind of relay what she was hearing from these kind of big agricultural companies, I suppose. And then, of course, Trump just says the last thing he fucking heard. And then Stephen Miller, I guess, gets back on the fucking yoke. And now we're back to where we were. On Tuesday, during an Armed Services Committee hearing, Secretary of Not Understanding that the movie Starship Troopers is a parody, Pete Hegseth, went toe-to-toe with Elizabeth Warren over deploying troops in U.S. cities.
If the Supreme Court orders you to remove troops from American cities, will you do so?
As I've said, Senator, I don't believe district courts should determine national security policy, but if the Supreme Court rules on a topic, we will abide by that.
Obeying the rule of law. I'll drink to that. Hegseth continued to be grilled by Congress this week over his leaked war chat and the ongoing reports of mismanagement and chaos within the Pentagon. Here's Senator Tammy Duckworth raking him over the coals.
You are blowing through money like my fellow cadets and I did in our first Liberty after basic camp. Luckily, I didn't end up with a questionable tattoo.
Only an awesome tattoo, continued Duckworth. Check this out, she said, before pulling up her sleeve to reveal 2 Tasmanian devils kissing. It's fucking awesome. And this wasn't even the best Duckworth moment. She pressed Hegseth on using the military not just for defense purposes, but for supporting the Homeland Security Department's immigration crackdown.
And if you want to be the DHS secretary, maybe you can apply for that job when you're fired from this one due to your incompetence.
over my dog's dead body, said DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Hawaii Senator Mazie Hirono had this helpful observation.
If ordered by the president, I'm going to ask you once again, to shoot peaceful protesters in the legs, would you carry out such an order from the president?
Senator, as I've said before, of course, I reject the premise of your question and the characterization that I would be given or are given unlawful orders. It's all meant to attempt to smear the commander-in-chief, and I won't
considering
fall
that the
for it.
president in his first term actually ordered such a thing, it is not a premise that you can reject.
Oh, you've caught me in a contradiction? I'm Pete Hegseth. We're on the brink of war with Iran. There are U.S. service members on the streets of an American city. I'm a weekend cable news anchor whose previous management is running not one but two nonprofits into the ground between marital affairs and displays of public drunkenness. It is inconceivable that I am in this job, and yet here I am.
All right, a few more.
On Monday, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. announced the launch of a Trump-branded phone and cell service company. When I first heard Trump Mobile, I immediately thought, I guess he is mostly.
Oh, God.
Not sure about the ad slogan they landed on. Can you fear me now? I'm sorry. TrumpMobile.com posted images of the all-gold T1 complete with an American flag. The phone comes with preloaded useful text shortcuts like, meet me at the Capitol and I have a governor in my trunk. On Thursday, Karen Reed was found not guilty of murdering her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. The case became a TikTok sensation, with many convinced that Karen Reed had been framed. And you know what? Actually, how many people here were following it closely? Interesting. You're not too good for true crime? Too good for Court TV? You fucking snot-nosed New Yorker reading, fucking NPR tote, Poindexter, pointy-headed fucking losers. We got to get a better audience. This fucking sucks. Yeah. Anyway, and finally, an Italian museum released security footage seeking the identity of a tourist who pretended to sit on a crystal-encrusted replica of a historic chair, only to fall and crush it beneath him. Oh! Wow, a lot of angles. Why are they blurring his face? Shame. You're trying to find him, but you're blurring his face, not trying too hard, Italy. Now, here's the question for all of you. How many of you, be honest, you can lie to me, it's worthless. Don't lie to yourselves.
What's up, bro?
You telling anybody? Or are you walking the fuck out of that museum?
Yep.
I'm walking out. They gonna find him though.
I saw that on Twitter and I didn't know what it was, but that it was thousands of dollars because I guess he was just tired. He saw a chair. He was like, "I'm gonna sit down."
No, they were fine. Clearly, I saw it in the footage. Do not fit.
Right.
They don't.
But anyway, sometimes you don't read signs when you're not noticing.
Well, they don't rope shit off like they should in Europe. I don't even know where to do stuff.
But the one that got me was about the Trump Mobile. So this is funny to me because, it's just another grift that Trump is doing. However, this one could actually make him money. I did not realize that, what's his name, who plays Deadpool? I can't remember his name. Who is the spokesperson for Mint Mobile?
He owns it.
Yes. And he made like $250 million from selling it.
Actually, it's actually a good deal, though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. And that sort of thing, I think, is kind of what inspired Trump to do a fucking mobile service.
But here's the thing: more than half of America doesn't hate you.
Well, that's the thing. You don't need half of America. You just need enough. And he's selling the subscriptions at like 3 times the cost of Mint Mobile because he's saying like the monthly fees would be $45, $47 to commemorate him being the 45th and 47th president. And basically getting the same deal as Mint Mobile because they were doing it at $15 a month and realizing like, oh, we're just going to charge 3 times as much.
Right. Good luck. So just to follow up on that, the pre-subscriptions is not doing well. So good luck.
What's up?
The pre-subscriptions and because you can subscribe to buy it and all of that.
Yeah.
The pre's are not doing very well, so fuck off.
Yeah.
In another story that you had that interests me, I would walk away from the chair. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I would. And I don't about the woman who found innocent. I was watching, FYI, where in the fuck is Nancy Grace? I miss you, Nancy Grace. My twins, right? That was the only time I would watch that channel. She'd be like, I remember, hey Sway, I remember when what was it? Oh my God, what's her name? The woman that allegedly killed her daughter and got off. Casey Anthony.
Okay.
I remember when the Casey Anthony case was going on and Nancy was still on the air.
Okay.
It would be so. She's hilarious. She got this crazy Southern accent, and she had just had the twins, you know. And like,
So
hey,
it is interesting though. This case, I had not been following it, but maybe there'll be some sort of true crime story afterwards. That she was tried once and it was a mistrial, and in the retrial she was acquitted.
Yes.
What seems to be the case is that, or at least some people are saying, because I don't know, is that two things can be true at the same time: that the police were framing her, and that she is also guilty. I think a lot of people feel like she is guilty, but the case was tainted by the fact that the police were trying to have it in for her because
I think
boyfriend was a police officer, right?
So, and it's the pretty white woman.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, it's popular for that reason.
Real quick before we get off the air, I had finished. Malcolm, you might want to go away for a second.
Oh, it's okay. I don't care.
Okay. Well, no, I'm not going to give away plots, but anyway, this is the best of the better of the Noah's Ark series. This is well shot. It's better written. The music is good. B+. From A to D, it's definitely a B+. The story is very touching. It is kind of hokey and whoopie doopy. You know what I mean? But
it kind of fits with their ethos, though.
Right, but it's and that's because it's a black rom-com. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's I didn't understand that's the thing that they were going for, and it has all your favorite RuPaul drag queen girls.
Okay.
T.S. Madison. What would gay be without T.S. Madison? But and then that's the thing too, and it is really good. Because I'm hard on creatives that you have a platform as big as this and you throw anything at the wall. But this is really good. It's really good. It's I've been
hearing good reviews just generally, from the social media.
It's real. Now you may have a hard time getting to it because not only do you have to have HBO, but you have to have HBO Max. So I think that's gonna kind of people are like, oh,
I don't understand that ethos. Right. I mean, that whole system, Max, HBO Max. What the fuck is going on with them? I don't understand it.
They run the gamut between HBO and HBO Max. It's 1,000 gazillion. It's 1,000 gazillion goddamn streaming things out there. RuPaul has his own streaming thing. Wow presents. I mean.
Yeah, they need to fix that shit.
Yeah, Big Booty Holes streaming.com. I don't know, whatever else is out there. But it's but check it out, definitely. And also on the movie tip, I saw the cutest movie this weekend. Bride. Oh my God. Bride Hard with that's the name of it, bro.
I mean, that sounds hilarious, like Die Hard, but Bride Hard.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
Oh my God. Rebel Wilson, Joy Divine, and the other girl from the other white chick from
Bridesmaids.
No, what's the acapella movie? With them singing acapella, Pitch Perfect.
Okay.
And Chrome, I believe it is. Hilarious. Laugh out loud. Me and my friends and I were the only ones in the theater.
That's good. Well, not good, but
yeah,
good experience. Yeah,
but it's gonna become a cult classic because
yeah.
Rebel,
Title of everything though. That's great.
yeah, Rebel Wilson is a national treasure. It's hilarious, just the thought of it. So it just came on Friday. It's at your local theater, and I think it's not popular because of Atlanta. You know what I mean? It's a white goofy movie. I think it's probably doing other numbers,
Better other places. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have to remember the market. Speaking of, last week we just celebrated Juneteenth, and a friend of mine posted, I said, they didn't do anything for Juneteenth around here, and he's from another state, and I'm like, I live in the blackest of cities. There was fireworks, there was goddamn festivals, and it was motherfucking rib eating contests. There's no qualm with celebrating Juneteenth. I'm just telling you right now. We are in it. I didn't know if it was gunshots, but it was fireworks. I could see it from my It was really good. So happy belated Juneteenth. On this Saturday show I ran into this AI thing that if Harriet Tubman had an iPhone, it just took me out of the game.
Yeah, they're doing those VO AI videos.
He was like, "We out here, we out here, we out here."
It's so easy to make those videos, man. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God, she was like, "We out here running for our lives." But listen, I have time today. We're gonna do a little bit on Patreon, www.patreon.com.
Because you had a video that you wanted to play. I'll do that for Patreon.
Yeah, because I'm going to talk about that because that goes right back into fuck around and find out. I'm all fuck around and find out. So we're going to do that on Patreon. So tune in.
Yeah. I'm going to switch on over to Patreon now.
Hold on 1 minute because you popped up on Instagram. Hold on.
Okay.
Become a paid member on Patreon and take advantage of our Telegram page with adult content, and you get to talk to us. So Malcolm and I will see you tomorrow for Swag Show at 7 p.m. Yes, Ryan Reynolds is the guy that is from Mint Mobile, and also
got a grip for that mobile shit.
Right. Yep. So come on over. Let's go, Malcolm.
All right, I insert you, and our patrons should have the thing there. I think I'm gonna leave Instagram on just because it takes so much